if I can't stand on my own ground and be confident enough in my truth to engage in conflict while being willing to admit that my perspective or my truth has changed and not let that mean anything about my value or make me feel less than anybody else, then I'm really not ready to step forward into this life as a man. Why is conflict so hard for us as men? This is something that I've been really working on in the past 10 years of being in this men's work, because I stepped onto the scene feeling really uncomfortable, witnessing and experiencing conflict in my life. And I'll never forget the first men's circle that I sat in, where I was really with elder men who knew what the hell they were doing. The first meeting, I saw two guys literally going at each other. I thought it was going to end in a wrestling match. And I was so uncomfortable. I wasn't even a part of the dialogue they were having. I was so uncomfortable just witnessing this conflict that I couldn't hold it. And I saw the rest of the men in that circle. I looked around at each one of them, perfectly grounded, perfectly centered, holding space for these two guys to spar with each other and do what they needed to do. 10 minutes later, these two men were embracing in tears. And it was that moment I realized how important it was to be able to embrace and withstand conflict. Now, that's just not just on a men's team. That's not just in a men's circle. That's everywhere in our lives. Conflict with our partners, with our spouses, with our brothers, our sisters, our parents, our children. We have to be able to embrace conflict, because conflict is just a disagreement. It's a differing of opinions. It's creating a space where opposing viewpoints can come together. Now, when I was a kid, adverse viewpoints were really uncomfortable. It often led to somebody trying to gain leverage or position over someone else. In circles with boys, or in what I witnessed with men, there was always someone trying to win and emerge victorious. And that's usually the problem. That's usually the breakdown in conflict, is if I'm focused solely on winning, on defeating the other person, then the only thing I care about is my own safety, my own connection to what's true. If my mission is to get somebody else to believe things that I believe, or to see things the way I see them, then that changes the purpose of conflict. It makes conflict really uncomfortable, because if that's my purpose or my mission, if I lose, or if it's proven that I'm wrong, then it's devastating. I failed. And we know how our relationship with failure can be. So why do we have such a hard time with conflict? Because it all goes back to our base core wound of belonging. We just want to belong. We want to be in the company of other people that see the world the way we see it, that have a similar drive, a similar purpose for their life. That's what gives us the safety of community, a village, a family to work and collaborate with, so that we can continue to survive the way that we are. If we don't have that sense of belonging, we feel lost. Something is missing. We're not lone wolves. We survive in community, working together, working collaboratively. So if conflict emerges and it threatens the harmony, the ability for us to cooperate and collaborate as a community, then that sense of belonging, that sense of survival gets threatened. That's why conflict is so uncomfortable. Then there's also the ego element of it. What if I have to be humbled? What if I have to admit I was wrong? What if I have to be flexible and change my viewpoint and position as a result of conflict? What does that mean about me? Well, the answer is that it really means nothing about you. It means that you're human. We're all able to change our truth and change our opinion as time goes on. That's the definition of growth. If we're fixed on our viewpoints, if we're fixed in our truth, if we hold on to the things that we believe so tightly like they're concrete, then we can't grow. That's stagnancy. Stagnant water that doesn't flow is death. It's poison. So by definition, if we care about growth, if we care about becoming our greatest selves, then I have to be flexible in what I believe. At least open and available and willing to see things differently than I see them right now. So conflict is essential. Conflict is what breeds new discoveries, innovation. The Greeks used to have a practice called dialogue, which meant going back and forth from one person to another. Philosophers came to their conclusions by being in disagreement with one another. talking it out, working it out, and getting to a place where there was a truth that was revealed. Whether it meant that one person had to admit they were wrong or both people admitted that they both had it wrong and that there was actually something else that was there. But if I can't be comfortable with conflict, if I can't stand on my own ground and be confident enough in my truth to engage in conflict while being willing to admit that my perspective or my truth has changed and not let that mean anything about my value or make me feel less than anybody else, then I'm really not ready to step forward into this life as a man. I'm not prepared to grow. I'm not confident enough to pursue my path fearlessly. So we have difficulties with conflict for these reasons. So what do we do about it? Got to get comfortable. Got to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. We're so conditioned and hardwired to make people happy around us. Got to let that go. Got to be humble. Got to be willing to admit that, hey, I see things differently now. Thank you. Thank you for helping me see a different perspective than I had before. Admitting when we're wrong. Admitting when we didn't quite have it right. You know what? I was missing the point there. Thank you for helping me see that. That's leadership. That builds trust. It doesn't break trust. We got to let go of this belief that admitting that we're wrong destroys our value. It doesn't. Having the humility and the confidence to admit that builds trust instead of breaks it. And then beyond that, just be willing to stand off with somebody. Whether it's your partner, a sibling, a mentor even, be willing to ask questions, be willing to challenge, be willing to go up against somebody and be in the tension of something being unresolved. We don't have to figure it all out in one sitting, but being able to step into those disagreements, those arguments, those conflicts is what ultimately is going to develop you into the powerful leader you can be. It's been one of the hardest things on my journey. I still have this need inside of me for everyone around me to be happy. And I've got to let go of that, because if I'm focused on everyone being happy, then I might be willing to compromise taking care of everyone and keeping them safe. Sometimes taking care of people and keeping them safe is being willing to engage in conflict, interceding, stepping in front of, protecting, guarding, defending a truth. If I just want to make everybody happy, then I'm not going to prioritize taking care of them. So think about this one. Really let it land. What is your relationship with conflict? What is your adversity, your resistance to stepping into conflicting situations? And how can you flip that? And the last thing I want you to do is I want you to share this message with somebody in your life. Share it with a man who you know is uncomfortable in conflict. Share it with the nice guy. Share it with the people pleaser in your life who needs to reconsider his relationship with conflict and adversity. And after you do that, take that in for yourself and keep spreading this message, but live it in your life, because that's the only way that it's going to really land, the only way that you're really going to grow. All right, so if you like this message, if you're vibing with what we're throwing down here for Rising Man, click that subscribe button and make sure you go check out all the amazing offers and opportunities we have at risingman.org. I'll catch y'all next Monday. Peace.